Hello students, in the last episode we learned about the in-process inspection that takes place in the garment industry, and today we will see the final inspection that has to be done before the garment comes out of the garment industry. So, this final inspection of the garments produced in the industry is very important, as it is the final stage where the buyers and consumers requirements are met. It consists of inspecting finished garments from the buyer's point of view, that is size measurements, maybe proper fitting through form fitting using a dress form or sometimes even a live modeling if necessary, and also labels and some other important information. Final inspection may occur before or after garments are packed in polybags and cartons. If it is done after garments are packed, then proper size and style markings on the package can also be checked. There are various systems for final checking or final inspection in garment industry. So, this is very significant for an export order shipment. The final inspection is referred as final audit in some of the industries. So, for this skilled auditors are required to perform this job, because many of the defects at this point require the attention of a skillful eye. Then we will see what are the elements that are there in the final inspection. One is the verification. So, it must be verified that the garment at hand is what is desired by the customer. Second one is the inspection for workmanship defects. So, a statistically determined number of units from the lot must be thoroughly inspected in order to evaluate the quality of the stock. And the third one is the inspection for size problems. A few garments from each size must be measured for a size after being inspected. Defects zones are being classified depending upon the defects present on the final garment, and one is the A zone. That means the defects of the garment which is visible when it is packed, and B zone means the defects of the garment which are visible when garment is opened flat, and the C zone is the defects which are seen when the garment is turned. A defect in A zone is considered more serious than a defect in B zone. In the same way, a defect in B zone is considered more serious than the defect in C zone. So, the defects will be categorized accordingly. Then we generally talk about accepted quality level in the garment industries. So, it is also called AQL. It is one of the most frequently used terms when it comes to quality in the garment industry. In any business process, before accepting the finished goods from the manufacturer, buyer conducts inspection of goods. It is paramount in export garment sector because foreign buyers are very much concerned about product quality. They give AQL on the product to the manufacturer. So, the AQL table can be sourced from NSI ASQZ 1.4, the sampling procedures and table for inspection by attributes. Acceptance quality level refers to the maximum number of defective items that could be considered accepted during the random sampling of any inspection. The defects that are found during inspection are classified again into three categories. One is the critical one, that means must be 100% accurate and there is no range in this, and second is if the major defects are there, it is normally 2.5% that you have to check, and if it is minor, it goes normally for 4%. So, we will see what is this kind of sampling plan for the shipment. If the lot or batch size is around 2 to 8, the sample code given is letter A and the sample size will be around 2 and is accepted, quality level is 4, then there should not be any defects in this. If there is a 1, then it will be rejected. For a lot size of 9 to 15, the code is given as B and the sample size is around 3, and again here there should not be any defects. If there is one defect, it is rejected. Again up to 15 to 25, the code is given as C and the sample size will be around 5, and again here there should not be any defects. If there is one defect, it is going to be rejected. and in case of lot size around 26 to 50, the size code is given as D and the sample size is around 8, and here around 1 defect may be present, it is accepted. If 2 defects are there, it is rejected. Lot size around 51 to 90, the letter given is E and the sample size may be 13, and in case here if there is 1 defect, it is being accepted. If there are 2 defects, it is going to be rejected. For a batch size of 91 to 150, the code is given as F and the sample size is going to be 20, and here there may be 2 defects, it may be accepted. If there are 3 defects, it is going to be rejected. If the lot size is around 151 to 280, the code given is G and the sample size is going to be 32, and if there are 3 defects, it will be accepted. If there is a 4th defect, it is going to be rejected. For a batch size of 251 to 500, the sample code given is H and the sample size is 50, and if there are 5 defects, then it is going to be accepted. If the 6th defect is there, it is going to be rejected. In a batch size of 501 to 1200, the code is J and the sample size is around 80, and if there are 7 defects, it is accepted. If there are 8 defects, then it is going to be rejected. For a batch size of 1201 to 3200, the letter given or the code given is K and the sample size is going to be 125, and if the defects are there around 10, it is accepted. If the 11th defect is present, it is going to be rejected. And for a batch size of 3201 to 10,000, the code is L and the sample size is around 200, and if there are 14 defects, it is going to be accepted, and if 15th defect is present, it is going to be rejected. For more than 10,000, that is 10,001 to 35,000 around, the code given is M and the sample size is going to be 315, and if there are 21 defects, it is going to be accepted, and with the 22nd defect, it is going to be rejected. Here the lot or batch size means that total number of pieces the inspector is going to check or inspect, and sample size code letter is, this is indicative of a range of batch size, and the sample size means, it means that how many pieces will be picked up for inspection from the total offered pieces batch wise, and AC is an accepted one, that is the number in this column denotes that if the inspector finds up to that much defective pieces, the shipment will be accepted by buyer, and RE means rejected, that means number in this column denotes that if the inspector finds that much defective pieces or more than the listed number, the shipment will be rejected or asked to the manufacturer for 100% inspection and re-offer for final inspection by buyer. And then there are few sampling methods in this, that is single sampling method, double sampling method and multiple sampling method. In the single sampling method, which is normal inspection that takes place, assurance an AQL of 2.5% and a lot size of 1200 garments, and the sample size is 80 garments in this. If the number of defective garments found is 5, the total lot is acceptable. Suppose if the defective garments are found as 6, the total lot is rejected or rechecked. And in the case of double sampling plan, this is for normal inspection, assurance of an AQL, that is 4% and a lot size is 1200 garments and the sample size is 80 garments. Then if the number of defective garments found is 7, the total lot is acceptable. Suppose if the defective garments found to be 8, the total lot is either rejected or rechecked. So, for example, in a lot, the total garments around 1200, the sample size is selected for inspection is around 80 garments. The AQL required is 2.5 or 4, and if the major defective found is 5 and minor defective found is 7, the total garment is acceptable. If the defective exceeds above 5 major and 7 minor, the total garments are rejected or to be rechecked. Then we will see what are the requirements for inspection. For this, the work area must be well lighted and the measuring table should be large enough to hold the entire garment spread out flat and buttoned. And use a soft fiberglass ruler or a metal ruler that has been calibrated against a rigid steel ruler. Cuts should be stored in the auditing storage area to facilitate the access of the boxes for the auditor. Sample boxes must be randomly obtained. Garments that are only partially boxed are not ready for the final audit and should not be audited until all boxes are complete. Samples must be randomly obtained from finished sealed boxes. Final audits are done following a 4 AQL in majority of the industries. Auditors should establish a routine for inspecting garments in order to eliminate the possibility of overlooking an operation. The auditor must be aware of the specifications of the garment. The round measurements are made to the nearest 1/8 inch unless specifications require that it is taken to the 1/16 inch. All operations must be checked in the final audit. Also, you can say the tags, shading, long threads, raw edges, skip stitches and other defects also should be checked. Garments with major defects are to be marked by color tape and set aside for repair. Detailed records should be recorded and major defects must be properly recorded with their code. Cuts that have not passed a final audit or that have only been partially audited should not be loaded on the truck. After inspection, the remainder of the garments in the box must be counted and checked for size. The label on the exterior of the box must reflect what is inside the box. Garments that have passed the inspection must be returned to the box in the same manner that they were in when they were taken out. All repairs should be set aside and marked. Detailed records of any defects must be recorded. 4 types of packing and folding, especially for shirts. They are, that is, one is the stand up pack. In this, collar is folded and kept at for 900 angles with the body, and semi stand up pack. In this, collar is folded and kept at 450 angles with the body, and the flat pack, that means in this, collar is folded and completely laid flattened on the body, and hanger pack. In this, shirt is supplied in box by hanging on a hanger. Then we will see what is the actual procedure for the final inspection. The supplier must perform an internal quality inspection before offering the lot to the manufacturer quality auditor. To confirm the product quality, use the AQL sampling plan table and follow the steps. That is, establish the number of units in the consignment and use the AQL level to determine the number of units to be inspected. Randomly select the sample quantity from across the sizes and color. Check the sample lot quantity for all quality performance standards, that is, packing standards, function and testing standards, visual standards. Once the 100% inspection has been completed, another internal inspection takes place, and if the consignment passes the second inspection again, the goods can be offered for final inspection by the buyer. Let us see now checklist for final inspection. Checklist for the final inspection will be, in case of presentation, we have to ask these questions, that is, do the goods meet retailing standards? Are the garments crushed, creased or glazed? Are the garments soiled, stained or wet? In case of labeling, is there a correct logo? Is there a correct size label? Are there correct labels on fiber content and wash care instructions? Are the barcode tags or swing tickets incorrect or missing? Components and trims. Are the components or trims rusting, tarnishing or broken? Are there incorrect attachments, for example, handles? Are the zippers faulty or incorrect? Are the tie cords correct? In case of makeup, we can ask the questions like, or the seams insecure, puckered, grinding, roping or twisting? Is there needle damage that includes even laddering? Are there excessive threads, or is there poor trimming? Are the collars, pockets, zippers or dots incorrectly sewn, or panels misaligned? In case of fabric faults, are there printing or dyeing faults? Are there faults in the fabric or interlining? Is there varying shading within the garment? Is there varying shading from garment to garment? In case of some of the miscellaneous defects, or we can see is the garment measurement within acceptable tolerance as defined in the gold sample or design pack, or the correct numbers of spare buttons provided? Did all the colors passed all required laboratory testing procedures? Did it meet all government regulatory requirements? Did it meet all safety requirements? So, some of these questions we should be able to see, and accordingly the garments should be checked, and then we will be able to get the correct information from the final garment. And then there are procedures for inspecting the shirt, because shirts and trousers are the main products that come out of the ready-made garments. Let us see and what are the inspection procedures that are followed for a shirt. Visually inspect the front of the garment for any defect, and check that the two sides of the shirt are the same length and evenly meet at the bottom. Check that all buttons line up with their buttonholes and are properly placed. Also, be sure that the number of buttons is correct and that all of them are securely attached to the garment. Buttons should be checked for function, that is, button and unbutton, to ensure that no buttonholes are too small. When checking short sleeve garments, both armholes must be checked for size. Pockets must be checked for shading, tags and placement. Crooked or uneven pockets are unacceptable. Pockets of a pattern fabric must line up according to the print. A pocket set even slightly off can be very apparent when using a pattern fabric. Garments must be turned inside out and all seams must be checked. 3 garments of every size must be measured, that is bust, sweep, collar, yoke, cuff, armhole, natural shoulder, pockets, and all these must all be measured and compared to the specifications of the garment. And if a lot fails, then 100% inspection must occur. First 20% must be inspected, and those results should be combined with the failure results. If the lot still fails, then continue to check 100%. Let us see now what is the inspection procedure for pants or trousers. That is, lay garment face up and visually check the front for shading, fabric defects and soil. Measure the waist with a metal or fiberglass roller. Check that the measurement of the waist is the same as the size on the label. Check that pockets are functional and have no shades in the pieces that are used and missing tags and are overall correct. Check the placement of the button and that it lines up with the hole. Button and unbutton the garment to ensure that there are no problems with function. Check the zipper, making sure it is properly placed, the right length and that it is functional. Must zip and unzip smoothly and then find out whether it is functional or not. Check that the crotch has the correct tags and no dog ears are present. A slight pull should be administered to the crotch area to ensure that all the seams are secure. Measure the inseam and verify that it is the same as the size label. Also measure the inseam to ensure that both legs are the same length. Flip garment over and visually inspect the back for shading, fabric defects and soil. Check that the back pockets are properly aligned, have tags and are not too open, that is exposing the inside of the pocket. Compare the bar in the back pocket to the paper ticket and the woven size label to be sure that the garment is correctly labeled. Check belt loops for correct size, attachment and also alignment. Ensure that the label is properly placed and aligned correctly. Turn the pants inside out and inspect all seams and operations. Then turn the garment outside in and rebutton, zip and fold the garment. Thus, the final garment should be thoroughly checked without any flaws, and so that the quality of the particular garment can be maintained. And the industry should see that the garments which are finally made and should be, for example, in case of domestic and export markets, the quality levels are different, and so they have to first of all set up their accepted quality levels and also the sample size from each lot, and then they should be able to thoroughly check it, so that there will not be any rejections from the buyer.